because I really do see two worlds. Architects are simply unaware of Earth in all of its forms and variations. They're not specifying it. They're not encouraging their clients to build with it. And then there's this whole world of renegade builders or people that are really fundamentally activists or working from the heart and want to change the world and are deciding, I've got to learn enough about building so I can do an Earth building. I don't need to be a builder my whole life, but I need to do this building because there's no other way to get it done. And it makes a statement, it's green. Well, it's true that it's still very hard for someone to build their own house in an urban setting. It's hard in a rural setting in terms of the physical labor and just being able to master all the tasks involved. But in an urban setting, the degree of complexity around codes and permits and so forth makes it very daunting. It's a function of the inherent danger of building. The most ancient laws relate to the liability of builders. If you go back to ancient Babylonian codes, you'll find some grievous penalties if the building falls down on someone's head. It's serious. It is a life and death profession. To be an architect, to be a builder, contractor. And in the industrialized nations, anything that smacks of liability tends to have layers and layers of bureaucracy and complexity and rules and regulations. And some of that is to the good and some of it is unnecessary. Well, for someone that wants to build, I would suggest looking at a pattern language which provides 200 odd patterns. It's just a wonderful source of material. And to work with friends, to work with people that have experience in the process, and to follow a simple process of unfolding where you're trying to unfold the structure that's in your heart within that piece of land. And to start by staking it out in the broad scale, start by thinking about the massing. Is it 1 story, 2, 3? What's the footprint? What's the place on the site that is already damaged that by building on I can repair it? That's a wonderful pattern called site repair. And city repair is a similar idea. Often you need to go to the most damaged part of the city, and by rebuilding there, you actually do the most healing. So people often make the mistake of wanting to build in the pristine part of the land and then look back at what may actually be damaged or miss an opportunity to create health and wholeness by actively working with a damaged part of the land. So it's important to have no preconceptions about the footprint. Where should the building be placed? To actually walk and walk and walk and look for the structure of wholeness on the land and realize that where the building plus the land together creates the most wholeness is the place to build. And that often means you're looking back on something extraordinary or helping to create something extraordinary by the building's relationship back to the earth. And once you have that footprint and that sense of massing, how tall it is, how many stories, then it's finer and finer articulation. Actually mocking it up, leaving decisions like windows a little bit later perhaps, so you can actually frame it up first. No need to know exactly where the windows are yet. And then you can literally look at the micro scale. Where's the perfect place to put a window? There's a wonderful pattern around a Zen view, where there's a tiny window that you place right there that has an exquisite view that brings the whole room or the whole house to life. And if you try to do that on CAD ahead of time, you'll never find it. So all during the building, it's deferring decisions as long as possible, starting with the things that are most fundamental that have to be determined first, and not over-designing before you see how, as you're framing out the building and starting to create spaces, how then the windows need to be placed, and the interior furniture and cabinetry and so forth. That's a starting point.